New plan unveiled today here in France. The government is trying to crack down on the number of would-be jihadists.
That's
now,
right.
These are people, usually young people, who want to travel to Syria and fight alongside the rebels. And 500 French nationals have already done so. Tell us a bit about this plan.
All right, well, what I want to do is show you some examples, Laura, of how this has hit the news in the last number of months. There have been several examples. There were two brothers, for example, from Toulouse. This was back in July of last year. It became a big media story. You can see it here on the France Télévisions website. That's a postcard they sent their grandmother from Syria. Right, there she is reading about it. And
is that the first she knew about them being in Syria?
I think it was certainly the first detailed news she got. And this is a video that they put online. Now, they were two brothers, Nicolas and Jean Daniel, 30 and 23 respectively. Nicolas, the 30-year-old, eventually convinced his brother. Now, what's interesting here is that they had no links whatsoever to the Islamic faith or to the Arab world. And it was purely via...
Syria.
Syria. It was via informing themselves online that they became, I suppose you could say, brainwashed. That's certainly been the argument of many family members regarding this. And what that video in particular, if I could find the segment, was particularly notable for a message to the French president at the end, where he was essentially being asked to convert to Islam. So a very peculiar video indeed. Another example in the media going back a couple of months, one that is quite close to home. One of our journalists, Charlotte Botiot, noticed on her Facebook news feed that a friend of hers who she had known and shared coffees with and was in her broader circle was in Syria on jihad. Holy war.
That must have come as quite a shock.
That's right. And as you'll remember, she engaged him in a conversation and then wrote up his story. So she discovered this via Facebook, where he was sharing his experiences in Syria, and he too apparently was radicalized online. There were two teenagers in Toulouse. This is going back to about, I think it was January of this year, 15 and 16-year-old brothers who travelled to Syria as well, with booking flights online using their father's credit card. And they told their story when they returned after 21 days, where they were encouraged to share their experience and to use Facebook and social media in order to
attract more people.
Exactly. So that is very much a theme. It's also a theme, Laura, not just in France. This is a blog of a Dutch guy who was also sharing his experiences, and there were also three British brothers, I believe, British extremists in Syria, who also love social media and use social media to get their message out there. So that's essentially what the French authorities, in part, are trying to tackle.
Trying to crack down on that. Okay, let's move to a big TV moment here in France. We all remember Dominique Strauss-Kahn in the headlines a couple of years ago. His wife, Anne Sinclair, the long-suffering Anne Sinclair, gave an interview. Was that her first since all the DSK revelations?
It was the first moment she went into any sort of detail on the Dominique Strauss-Kahn scandal going back to May 2011. So it was a big TV moment. I don't have the viewing figures, but I'm pretty sure they were sky high. It was being promoted heavily by the France 2 network for about a week beforehand. So just to show you some of the coverage of it. Now, you see, these are the images that she was trying to, I suppose, in some ways explain or correct the huge degree of solidarity she showed with her husband throughout that scandal. Remember, this is when the then head of the IMF, a favourite for the presidential election, Dominique Strauss-Kahn, was accused of sexually assaulting, attempting to rape a hotel maid in New York, and it was a massive scandal. He was put in handcuffs, walked down the perp walk, and she appeared alongside him in every court appearance. She paid for his legal fees because she has a lot of family money. She's an heiress to an art trader's fortune. In any case, she said that she did not know about his sex trysts. She was kept in the dark. And she said that she really didn't appreciate a lot of the media coverage at the time, which was trying to psychologically analyse her, why she accepted all of this. She said she simply didn't know, and that she didn't believe the accusations that of sexual assault.
So she did choose to stand by her man, didn't she?
She did choose to stand by her man, but the coverage, I think this is interesting. Take a look at the extent to which that interview last night was analysed and overanalysed in the media. This is a body language expert by the name of Stéphane Bounard, who is picked apart her face to try to understand exactly
She did look fantastic, it has to be said.
She did look fantastic, but do you notice that one eye is slightly smaller than the other, which apparently means that she's had a bit of emotional stress
think somebody's reading a little bit too much.
But
into it.
also, I mean, don't we know
Well, I'm
that
sure
she's
she's had some stress anyway. Absolutely.
And she's not lying to us, but to herself, according to the analysts
thanks
behind it.
very
Right.
Oh, well. All right.
So look, it continues to fascinate, but certainly a lot of people applauding her performance in that interview last night, where she did come across
still a big
as
journalist,
very
isn't she?
sincere. That's right.
She runs the Huffington
editorial
Post.
director of the Huffington Post,
Yeah,
French
here
edition.
in France. We're going to end with a big PR fail for the New York Police Department. What happened here?
This is quite funny. They decided to invite the public to share their photos of positive moments with the NYPD. So this is the sort of thing that they were hoping would be shared. Let's take a look at this image where, you just have a member of the public. Can we see this image where you have a member of the public alongside the police officers? But in the end, these are the sort of images that started going up on social media of people being arrested in all sorts of horrendous conditions.
Oh, dear.
So that was a bit of a fail. And it reminds me of perhaps the best known fail of a hashtag becoming a bashtag or a social media story going wrong. MacD stories, and it turned into a whole lot of people sharing horrible experiences in McDonald's. McDonald's were trying to encourage the public to
Pizza
share
Hut had
positive
something similar as
stories.
well.
You got to be careful when you try to use social media.
It's always tricky
for
for
PR.
corporations, isn't
That's
it?
it.
to
It can
use
go
to their
horribly wrong.
advantage. All right, James. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Laura.
James Creedon there. Now, time for our focus report. And countries like